Welcome everybody to this morning's Governance and Transparency Committee meeting. I'm just noting all councillors are in attendance other than Councillor Jonik, who I have a leave of absence for. I'm happy to move that leave of absence for today, and then I'll just proceed that to the vote. Those in favour? That's unanimous and carried. We'll start off with an acknowledgement of country. Ipswich City Council respectfully acknowledges the traditional owners as custodians of the land and waters we share. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging as the keepers of the traditions, customs, cultures and stories of a proud people. I've got no business outstanding, so I'll move on to the confirmation of minutes. Seek a mover from the floor. Moved by Councillor Milligan, seconded by Councillor Kunzelman. Any discussion on those minutes this morning? I'll put it to the vote. Those in favour of adopting, that's unanimous and carried. Item 2 today is the Flood Recovery Resilient Homes Fund Voluntary Home Buyback Proposed Property Acquisition. It's a 3-part recommendation. Are there any questions for the relevant officer on this matter? There being no questions, I'll seek a mover for recommendation A, B and C. Moved by Councillor Doyle and seconded by Councillor Milligan. Any discussion this morning? Mayor Harding.
If I may, Chair. Thank you, Chair. It's great to see this next tranche, I think tranche 6, come forward. This has been a very successful program by the federal government and the state government to give some of our residents hope. When I see the list, there's about 66 properties there. That's 66 families and their extended families who've been supporting them that will have a way forward. So I'll be obviously voting for this and strongly supporting it. And I thank the Queensland Reconstruction Authority and the National Emergency Management Agency as well that have been providing such great support for our people in Ipswich.
Thank you. Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Chair. I also really delighted to see this tranche come through, noting that there's many properties within Division 3 that were significantly impacted most recently by the 2022 flood event. But I also note that there's properties within the Division 3 included in the buyback this time that weren't necessarily impacted by 2022, but I know significantly in 2011. So it's great to see those properties coming through, families taking advantage of that and the relief they must have in being able to relocate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Any further discussion this morning? Councillor Kunzelman.
Councillor Milligan and I had a long conversation yesterday with someone on this list, and he expressed his concerns. I just wanted to remind us all that of the importance of this program, how long it's taking, as we expected it would, but also that this person is being removed from their environment. Now, we all know that we're happy in our own place, in our own area, and this is, I'm just mentioning that this is such an upheaval for people and that there's a cost.
Thank you, Councillor Kunzelman. Any further discussion this morning? There being no further discussion, I'll put recommendation A through C to the vote. Those in favour of adopting? That's unanimous and carried. Item 3 today is a procurement matter for electronic security services. 4-part recommendation. Are there any questions of the relevant officer?
Yes, my question, if I could, so that we know who to call forward, is just want to know who our current supplier is. I couldn't see that in the documentation.
All right,
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just as long as I guess we know before the council ordinary.
Okay. So the council also just said that they'd take that on notice and get back to us, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, I'll seek a mover for recommendation A through D. It's moved by Mayor Harding, seconded by Councillor Doyle. Any discussion this morning on that matter? There being no discussion, I'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour of adopting, that's unanimous and carried. Item 4 today is another procurement matter for sealed roads and open drainage reconstruction project. Are there any questions this morning on this matter, Mayor Harding? Would you like to indicate for whom?
Yes, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering if any of the package of works, are they the flood recovery works or there are other works that council was doing anyway?
Mr. White's coming forward. No, Mr. Mulroney. I do believe it is the flood stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I wasn't entirely clear either, but
Nice shirt, Mr. Mulroney.
Good morning, Chair, Mayor and councillors. So the package of work, this package of work is primarily flood related.
Right.
Some of the work is deemed as ineligible under the funding guidelines because there was pre-existing damage that has got worse. But it's all flood related work.
Okay, all of it is 100%. Okay.
It is a flood package.
sorry, and can I just get clarification around one statement within the report, and that's within the paragraph of purpose of report and background. We say that the tender process was run in parallel to damage inspection, so the extent of scope was not yet quantified. However, unit rates aligned with QRA. Just for the layman, could you explain what that looked like?
Because it's such a compressed program, it needs to be a compressed program, we were preparing the package whilst we were still identifying the extent of damage.
Yep.
So we had contractors out there sizing up the damage and coming up with a recommendation on what to fix, and at the same time we were in procurement to bring on the contractors to do the work. So the procurement was based on a schedule of rates.
Thank you for that
No
clarification.
worries.
Thank you. And thank you for taking that approach.
Thank you.
No problem at all, thank you.
All right, moving on. I'll seek a mover for recommendation A through C. Moved by Councillor Doyle, seconded by Councillor Milligan. Any discussion this morning on this matter? There being no discussion, I'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour of adopting? That's unanimous and carried. Item 5 today is a procurement matter for ArcGIS software licensing, maintenance and online credits. It is a two-part recommendation. Any questions of the relevant officer? There being no questions, I'll seek a mover for A and B together. It's moved by Councillor Doyle and seconded by Councillor Kunzelman. Any discussion this morning?
If I may, Chair, obviously I'm delighted that we're going to a more open software system. We had a very customised spatial system, and I think this works out well for us in getting easier upgrades, but also in our ERP upgrade as well. So it's great to see that it's progressing to this stage, and I look forward to having that system in place.
Thank you, Mayor. Any further discussion this morning? There being no further discussion, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour of adopting A and B? That's unanimous and carried. Item 6 today is another procurement matter for Nearmap subscription 2023. Are there any questions on this item? Being no questions, I'll seek a mover for recommendation A and B. Moved by Mayor Harding, seconded by Councillor Milligan. Any discussion this morning? There being no discussion, I'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour of adopting? That's unanimous and carried. Item 7 today is a procurement matter for Koga Weave Mapping 2023. Are there any questions, Mayor Harding?
If I may, Chair, and probably not so, or two questions about is it specialised or confidential? Yeah, a procurement one and a technical one.
Okay, thank you.
Richard White, Manager of Procurement.
Through you, Chair. Mr White, recommendation A talks about that the exemption applies because of specialised and or confidential nature. May I ask if it's both or one?
Yeah, that language from legislation has an and/or. We tend to sometimes leave that as it is in the worded. It's a specialised in this nature.
Specialised, thank you. And my other question through the Chair is, once ArcGIS is fully implemented, will we still need to purchase this? This software?
No. So I think we've extended this once already.
Yep.
We put it to this time 1+1, just to ensure we don't have to keep coming up and bothering committee to extend this each time. But because it's of its nature, we have to sort of directly negotiate, which through the legislation means requires committee and council resolution.
Thank you, Mr White.
No worries.
And it's never bothered to exercise a delegation. Thank you, Chair.
I'll seek a mover for recommendations A and B together this morning. Moved by Mayor Harding, seconded by Councillor Doyle. Any discussion on that item? Being no discussion, I'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour of adopting. That's... Sorry, Kate. Unanimous and carried. You're welcome to vote otherwise, but seem distracted. Item 8 this morning is another procurement matter before you dig Australia's subscription. Any questions on this matter? Being no questions, I'll seek a mover for recommendation A and B. Moved by Councillor Doyle and seconded by Councillor Milligan. Any discussion this morning? There being no discussion, I'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour? That's unanimous and carried. Item 9 this morning is the surrender and acquisition of drainage easement at 22 Hume Drive, Bundamba. Any questions this morning on this matter? There being no questions, I'll seek a mover for A through C. Moved by Councillor Doyle and seconded by Councillor Kunzelman. Any discussion this morning on that matter? There being no discussion, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour of adopting? That's unanimous and carried. Item 10 this morning is an IVALV Program Governance and Transparency Committee report. Are there any questions this morning on this matter? There being no questions, I'll seek a mover for the recommendation. Moved by Councillor Harding and seconded by Councillor Doyle. Any discussion on that item?
If I may, Chair, thank you. Obviously, I know that the Audit and Risk Management Committee, as well as the councils, keep a very close eye on this important program. And I just, in reading through the status reports, which I also read the ARMC reports, but thank you for the accurate reporting so we know where things are at, and note the multiple competing works that are underway at the moment. But I'm certainly looking forward to these systems rolling out, and I think it'll be, you know, much more efficient for our residents, but also a lot of the boring, duplicitous work that our staff do amongst our systems that don't connect with each other. So really looking forward to those efficiencies for our organisation, but also I think better job satisfaction for our staff as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Any further discussion this morning? There being no further discussion, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour? It's unanimous and carried. Item 11 today is an IVALV Program Strategic Advisory Report, 13 July 2023. Are there any questions on this report? There being no questions, I'll seek a mover from the floor. Moved by Councillor Doyle and seconded by Mayor Harding. Any discussion this morning? There being no discussion, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour of adopting? That's unanimous and carried. Item 12 this morning is a Queensland Audit Office Management Letter and Draft Report to Parliament improving asset management in local government. Are there any questions this morning? Being no questions, I'll seek a mover for the one recommendation. Moved by Mayor Harding and seconded by Councillor Milligan. Any discussion this morning?
If I may, Chair. Obviously coming out of administration, asset management plans was something that this council and administration also, the interim administrator also worked on very well. So it's good to see the progress that our council makes. It will take years, and I think as a sector for the local government, it'll take us some time. But it's great to see the progress that our organisation has made, particularly the last 4 years.
Thank you, Mayor. Any further discussion? There being no further discussion, I'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour of adopting? That's unanimous and carried. Item 13 this morning is the Queensland Audit Office 2023 Interim Audit Report. Just noting here that the attachment to this report was marked confidential. However, advice was received from the Chief Financial Officer that it did not need to be confidential. A copy of the attachment can be attached to the report of this meeting when uploading to the web, if that is satisfactory to the committee. All right, sounds good. So I will see if there's any questions of the relevant officers on this matter. There is not. So I'll seek a mover for the one recommendation. Moved by Councillor Doyle and seconded by Councillor Milligan. Any discussion this morning?
I think, if I may, Chair, similar to before, it's just that things are being openly disclosed and fully followed through and followed up. No organisation's ever going to I'd say any organisation that has a green light for everything is not disclosing everything. So thank you, CEO, for your progress of these matters.
Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Chair. Just further to Mayor Harding's comments, both on this item and the previous item, Councillor Kunzum and I are obviously on the Audit and Risk Management Committee, so we too have ongoing discussions and are pleased at where Council is after 3 years of being on the committee. For me, given my background, what's most pleasing is when issues, risks are identified, the responsiveness by the organisation is outstanding. And I know government organisations are sometimes criticised for not being responsive or agile enough, but I'm really, really pleased with the approach by Council. You know, there is still a long way to go, but the work that's been undertaken so far has been really, really well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Any further discussion this morning? There being no further discussion, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour of adopting, that's unanimous and carried. I've just been advised from the CEO, such as the agile nature of our staff. I'm happy to confirm for you, Mayor, that Chubb is the existing supplier.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, CEO.
I thought it was a good segue, Marnie. I've got no notices of motion this morning. I do have one matter arising, just for the committee to accept the resignation of Councillor Nicole Jonick from the Governance and Transparency Committee. And so just a procedural motion, as should be appearing on the screen before you, that the membership of the Governance and Transparency Committee be updated to note the resignation of Councillor Nicole Jonick from the committee. Any discussion on that this morning? Being no discussion, I'll seek a mover. Moved by Councillor Kunzman. I think it's procedural, so it only needs a mover, right? I'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour of adopting? That's unanimous and carried. That's all I've got this morning. Just noting that it's 9:52 a.m. Just conscious of asking the committee what their preference for the break would be.
For 10:30, if that's okay, Chair?
Personally, I think that's probably a bit long.
I appreciate that. I'll make it up. I'll move forward that we have a break till 10:30, Chair.
All right. That's before the council, the committee. Those in favour? Those against? Noting I'm against. That's that. All right. The meeting's closed at 9:52. The next one's at 10:30.